Hello students, today the topic of my video is The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster, Paper 2, Drama, Unit 2. Introduction will start with the introduction The Duchess of Malfi 5-act tragedy by English dramatist John Webster. It published in 1623. The Duchess of Malfi, originally published as The Tragedy of the Duchess of Malfi as a Jacobean revenge tragedy written by English dramatist John Webster in 1612-1613, it was first performed privately at the Blackfriars Theatre, then later to a large audience at the Globe. Published in 1623, the play is loosely based on events that occurred between 1508 and 1519 surrounding Duchess of Amalfi, whose father, Enrico di Argona, Marquis of Grace, was an illegitimate son of Ferdinand I of Naples. As in the play, she secretly married Antino after the death of her first husband, Alfonso. So, theme of the drama, corruption is one of John Webster's most pervasive themes in The Duchess of Malfi, operating on at least three levels: political, moral, and physical. In addition, Ferdinand, the Duchess' twin, harbors incestuous desires. Corruption, however, is not confined to the Cardinal and Ferdinand. The Duchess of Malfi displays both political and religious corruption. Duke Ferdinand and the Cardinal represent respectively political and religious power, and both use that power to serve their own desire for revenge. Moral of the drama, Duchess of Malfi stands for the value of life, and Webster's final statement is that life may have nobility in spite of all. The Duchess, not her brothers, stand for ordinary humanity, love, and the continuity of life through children. Important characters of the drama: Antino, Dalio, Bosallo, the Cardinal, Ferdinand, and the Duchess, Julia, and the Doctor. So, the plot summary of the drama: The Duchess of Malfi takes place in Roman Catholic Italy, which English audience at the time when the play was written would have associated with corruption. It begins in the palace of the Duchess, a young widow, and the ruler of the Italian town of Amalfi, her steward Antino, has just returned from a visit to the French court, and Basolo, a murderer and former employee of her brother, the Cardinal, has just returned from his punishment. Soon, Duke Ferdinand, the Duchess's other brother, enters with his whole retinue. In a private conversation with his friend Delio, Antino reveals that though the Cardinal and Duke appear good, they are in fact jealous and convincing and despicable. Despicable. He adds that though her brothers are horrible, the Duchess is noble, temperate, beautiful, and intelligent. Even though the Duchess is still young and beautiful, her brother do not want her to remarry. They hope to both preserve their honor by ensuring for ongoing sexual purity and to eventually inherit her fortune by forcing her to remain a widow. In order to make sure they have their way, Ferdinand gets Bosola a position on the Duchess' estate and hires him to be his spy. Bosola does not want to be a spy, but he feels that it is his duty to obey the Duke, even if doing so makes him corrupt. Ferdinand and the Cardinal, they confront the Duchess with a rehearsed speech instructing her not to remarry. She agrees not to do, but as soon as her brothers leave, she tells her maid, Carola, that she will marry in secret. The Duchess then vows Antino, inverting the traditional male and female role in courtship. The two marry in secret. So, after the 9 months, the Duchess is pregnant with Antino's child. Basola, still spying for Ferdinand, notes the sign of her pregnancy and plans to give her apricots as a test because they are known to induce labor. The Duchess eats the apricot and goes into labor, creating chaos in her palace. To try to maintain the secret, Antino and the Duchess gives out a gives out a story that the Duchess has fallen ill with some disease. Antino confronts Basola to ask if the apricots were poisoned. Basola denies the accusation, but after the confrontation, he notices that Antino accidentally dropped a piece of paper. It is a horoscope for a baby, which provides Basola with concrete evidence that the Duchess had a child. He decides to he decides to send the paper in a letter of the Duchess' brother in Rome. When Ferdinand and the Cardinal learn that the Duchess has disobeyed them, they are infuriated, thinking their noble blood has been tainted, and Ferdinand seems also to be overwhelmed with anger by the idea that the Duchess has been having sex at all, but they decide to wait to find out who the father is before taking action. After a few years, the Duchess has had two more of Antino's children. Ferdinand, who learned of the children from Basola, decides to confront the Duchess in her bedchamber. Ferdinand sneaks in and frightens the Duchess, giving her a knife and suggesting that she kills herself. She admits that she is married and he becomes enraged. He says that she has lost her reputation and swears that he will never see her again in his life. Antino and the Duchess make a plan to flee. The Duchess announces that Antino has been using his poison to steal from her and has been fired as an excuse to get him out of Amalfi. After Basola privately defends Antino to the Duchess as being honorable and worthy, the Duchess confides in Basola that Antino is innocent and is in fact her husband. She plans to flee to join him. Back in Rome, the Cardinal and Ferdinand finds out from Basola about the Duchess' plan. The Cardinal then formally banishes the Duchess, Antino and their children. Ferdinand invites Antino to reconcile, but Antino believes this is a trap. So instead of accepting the invitation, he flies with his eldest son to Milan. After he leaves, Basola re-enters in disguise and takes the Duchess and her other two children captive under orders from the brothers. The brothers imprison the Duchess in her Amalfi palace there because Ferdinand has sworn never to see the Duchess, confronts her in the dark. He gives her his hand to hold but then reveals that it is the hand of a dead man in order to convince her that Antino is dead. He then plays a trick with silhouettes to convince the Duchess that her children are also dead, at which points that Duchess wants to die. Ferdinand reveals to Basola that he plans to torture her by exposing her to madmen from the local insane asylum. While Basola feels bad for the Duchess and dislikes that he is participating in her torture, he continues to obey the Duke. In her prison, the madmen confront the Duchess and Carola. Bosola then enters disguised as an old man and he tells the Duchess that he is going to kill her. The Duchess maintains her composure and is unafraid, but executioners enter and strangle her two children and Carola. Though Ferdinand has no pity for the children, he immediately begins to feel remorse when he sees the Duchess' dead body. Ferdinand becomes maddened by guilt, and Basola also acknowledges feeling a guilty conscience. Ferdinand then condemns Basola for following his orders and refuses to pay him for his work. After Ferdinand has departed, the Duchess wakes up, but only long enough for Basola to tell her that her husband is still alive. She dies for real almost immediately after waking up. Now in Milan, Antino does not yet know his wife's fate. He decides to wager everything and confront the cardinal in person in an attempt to defuse the situation. Ferdinand, meanwhile, has been diagnosed with werewolf disease and he began acting like a madman, even attacking his shadow, clearly plagued by guilty. The cardinal wants his involvement in the murder to remain secret and he instructs Basola to murder Antino. A woman named Julia, with whom the cardinal has been having an affair, becomes smitten with Basola and he convinces Julia to try and get a confession out of the cardinal. Julia confronts the cardinal and finds out his secret, so he forces her to kiss a poisoned book, thereby killing her. Basola reveals to the cardinal that he has overseen this murder and the cardinal confession. He agrees to help the cardinal in return for payment, but in fact, this is a trick. He decides that he will do everything in his power to save Antino and get revenge on the brothers. In the cardinal's palace, the cardinal tells all of his courtiers to stay away from his room, no matter what they hear, even if he tests them with scream and shout. Basola sneaks into the palace and overhears that the cardinal plans to kill him and he helps the cardinal. Soon after, Antino sneaks into the palace in his effort to find the cardinal and end their quarrel. However, in the darkness, Basola accidentally stabs Antino, mistaking him for one of the brothers. Antino leaves just long enough for Basola to inform him that the Duchess and two of their children have been murdered, at which point Antino no longer wants to leave. Basola goes to find and kill the cardinal, and when the cardinal starts screaming for help, no one comes because of his instruction that they should stay away. In the chaos, Basola stabs the cardinal twice. Ferdinand then enters and, mistaking his brother for the devil, stabs both the cardinal and Basola. Basola then stabs Ferdinand, who uses his dying words to say that our death are caused by our own actions. While Basola explains what happened, the cardinal dies, and after Basola makes a final speech, he dies as well. After all of the death, Dalio enters with Antino's son, announces his intention to help the son to receive his proper inheritance, and ends the play. So, the conclusion: the Duchess of Malfi, like most of Webster's work, is a part of the jar of drama known as Senecan tragedy. So, this play is based on Senecan tragedy, named for the Roman playwright Seneca, who is credited with inventing the form. While typical tragedies such as Oedipus Rex or King Lear featured a great man who is destroyed by a fatal flaw in his character, Senecan tragedy is marked by a love of bloody spectacular violence and a focus on revenge. Revenge runs throughout the Duchess of Malfi. The Cardinal and Ferdinand, the two brothers, first exact revenge on the Duchess for disobeying them, and then Basola vows to take revenge on them in return. The Duchess of Malfi is best known for its spectacular and disturbing violence, while violence was a common part of play in the English Renaissance. Webster are remarkable for the inventive and grotesque way in which the violence is depicted. This includes scenes of dark humor, such as when Ferdinand convinces the Duchess that Antino is dead by giving what he says is Antino's severe hand but is actually a wax figure. So, all these are the characteristics of a Senecan tragedy. It also includes scenes offensive to the sensibility of the time, such as the cardinal using a poisoned Bible to murder his mistress. So, here we come to the end of the video. I have given you the summary of the drama as well as the conclusion and the meaning of the Senecan tragedy. Thank you.